Hello. So, hey guys, I hope you all are doing well. I hope you are having fun and taking care of yourself and your family. So, today um, I'm going to be looking into a question which was asked on, I saw on Stack Overflow, and I was also facing the same problem at work today, and so I wanted to uh, do a live sharing where we will take a look into the problem, and I'm pretty sure that problem would be faced by multiple people and it might be helpful for others. We will be taking a look at multiple functions and see which one is best. We'll try to solve the problem, and also take a look at the source code and try to understand a little bit of what is actually happening behind the scene in Postgres. And I hope this would be helpful, and I hope you would learn the why behind the use of this function. All right, okay, let's get started. I'm going to switch the screen. So, don't get intimidated. All right, let's get interested. That code. Anyway, so the question is remove new line and carriage return in a string. Okay. So what is a new line? Well, you already know new line. It's pretty much like this. Here you have a new line. Here you have a new line, and then you also have a carriage return. Right? What is a carriage return? Let's take a look at carriage return. Carriage return. A carriage return, sometimes known as cartridge return and often shortened to CR, is a control character or mechanism used to reset a device position to the beginning of a line of text. It pretty much means like there is a new line, okay, but the carriage return is happening at the start of the line, okay. So you can think of kind of similar scenario as this, okay. Like, let's see, like we have this text overall, we got new line, right, and carriage return is like your return is at the first of the new line, the first position of the new line. So that's from what I understand. Carriage return means to the return to the beginning of the current line without advancing downward. So like if you are at this line, this is the carriage return, right? Like a return from the upper line, return to the beginning of this line. So from here should have return to the beginning of current line. The name comes from printer. The term commonly used with typewriter that is still here. Pressing the enter key to add a hard line break, so your cursor returns to the left margin to start a new paragraph. Okay, this is better definition. On computers, adding a carriage return means pressing the enter key to add a hard line break, so your cursor returns to the left margin to start a new paragraph. So if I open a Word document, right, I think I understand what it is saying. So if I open this Word document and I'm typing this whole thing, right, oops, okay, there we go. Let me make it bigger so you can see. If I have this Word document, what would be new line? Well, hello. When I'm pressing how are you, I'm just gonna copy paste this, okay, and we will see when the new line starts. Okay, so there is a new line there. So what happened, right, our overall margin which we have set for the Word document, or it can be your text on the form, user form, the next you didn't press like enter here, right, you just kept typing and then there is a new line, right. you just keep typing and there is a new line. This is new line. Okay, like if we are talking about markups, then there is a new line over here. Okay. Okay. Now carriage return is kind of same thing, but instead of we typing and the text going into the new line and is stored as such when user is filling the form and the data is transferred into the database. Carriage return is more like the user pressed enter to start a new line. Okay, and then he or she started typing something on the next line, and this whole text would have a carriage return. In markups, you can also say like this has this. Okay, carriage return. This is the C character set, I think, for carriage return. Yeah. So that's like the difference between new line and carriage return. So the problem in this for the scope of this live video is that we have to replace both new line as well as carriage return from a, let's say, text column stored in a table. Okay, a lot of time you might need to generate a report, let's say import CSV, import data into CSV, and you might want, hey, I don't want all the new lines, I don't want all the carriage return, I just want spaced out, simple, one column, one in a row, one column for the Google Sheets or the CSV I'm importing. So a lot of time what happens is when you download the file from your Postgres as CSV, and when you open the file in, let's say, Google Sheets or Microsoft, let's say Excel, then it's gonna mess up Google Sheets as well. There will be multiple lines added. It's not going to be contained inside one particular column. So it's important to remove extra, new lines and carriage return characters away. So your final output, the final CSV you are generating is pretty filtered out. Okay. All right. Let's get it started. Enough talking. I'm going to remove this. I hope you now understand the scope of the problem. So simply we are going to try to remove carriage return from carriage return a new line from strings stored in databases. All right. So let's say first of all I want to create a table for the scope of this live session. I would add. Give me 1 second. Let me check. Yeah, I would add a temporary table, and I'm checking if it doesn't exist. I have named this temporary table as demo, and demo table has 2 attributes. First is paragraph, which is the text. You can also have varchar, okay, and you can have a character as well, but I chose text for the dynamism. Okay, and I have an ID integer. I can also move this at the top to avoid confusion, because most of us are see ID attribute at the top when we are creating a table. If you want, you can also add like primary key and things like that, but I'm not gonna get into that complexity. Okay, so let's first create this table. Complete relation demo already exists. Okay, so first of all, of course I was trying it out before starting this, so I dropped the table, and now I'm going to create this table again, and it's completed. Okay, now let's check the contents of this table. By the way, there is a train behind me so if you hear the sound, kindly ignore. Anyway, let's try to add the things we wanted to add. So here is our paragraph, right? So, and I already have created kind of a template, right? So let me add this, and I added this whole value, okay, with new lines, okay. And here, what about this carriage return? Sure, let's add it here as well. So I am going to add this line, okay. Now one more thing I want to do is, let's also add post office s, okay, in the string itself. Now when we add that, you can see there is an issue happening. And by the way, come on train, just go away. Gotta be kidding me when I'm recording. Not recording, live streaming. Anyway, if I was recording, I would have edited, but live streaming, I don't want to do that. It is what it is. It is what it is. Anyway, so let's say I also have post offices. Okay, post offices added inside the string. And if you have used Postgres, you pretty much need like, single quotes. It takes single quotes if you're interacting with the database directly, not an ORM. So, do you know how would we be able to add this post offices? If you don't know, that's a question for you, okay? And we're gonna come back to it pretty soon. But for now, we don't have to, let me just write this one here so I don't forget. And how to add a post office as while inserting record. Okay, so we're gonna get back to it pretty soon. For now, I guess I can remove that. Let's put it for the end, kind of the end, not really the end, but almost the end. So now I have all the data in here, and you can see, like, let me close this down. You can see over here the new lines and the carriage return is added, right? Let's say this is how you got the data and you want to present this data, okay? So I will show you like what's the problem which you might face. So let's say I go to the console and I'm like, I want to copy all this data. Awesome, I copied it. I go to Google Sheets, okay, and I'm gonna try to enter the I'm gonna try to copy paste. Let's say you are sharing the report, right? So I go here and then I will try to copy it here, okay? And of course I want one data to be contained inside one particular cell, and this is what happens, right? Well, you are like, okay, I wanna maybe format it. Sure, let's try formatting it, and you can see it's pretty much messed up, right? This should actually been in this, the hello should have been in this, hello, how are you, everything should have been in this column. It's not, right? The data is messed up, right? So so we don't want the new line as well as the carriage return available here. Maybe in Google Sheets you can of course change that, but if you are generating a report directly from or based on Postgres, it's best to right from the Postgres side remove it if you are generating a user report, right? So I'm gonna remove that, and next we're gonna go here and try to find ways to remove it. Okay, now before we remove it, I'm gonna kind of try to build a story here. Before we remove it, we need to understand one thing very clearly, and that is how new lines or carriage return is tokenized, or how PostgreSQL understands if you have, or what do you need to add for Postgres to understand that you have a new line or carriage return. Okay, so I've already opened over here. Let me go here. All right, so lexical structure. That's how. And we can go to the current version if you, just to be sure. Lexical structure. Okay, this is pretty much like what is the lexical structure in Postgres, like what you write, how Postgres tries to understand what you have written. So you have like different sections, you know, you have like identifier, keywords like select, from, where, then you have constant. So we are mainly interested in the second part, which is, of course, you can read more here. It's documentation pretty, you know, it's available, it's open source. But what we are interested in, which is going to help us solve this problem, is this section, which is constants. So there are three kinds of implicitly typed, which is you are typed in implicitly. Constant in Postgres, strings, bit strings, and numbers. Constant can also be specified explicit type. Okay. A string constant SQL is an arbitrary. This is all good. This is all good. Now here we go. String constant with C style escapes. Okay. Now what is C style escape? So in C language, since you know each of the character has its own ASCII code, its own binary representation, and you in C language, while it was being, you know, while it was in discovery mode, the creators thought about how we can represent the meaning, or how we can use the same word to mean something else. For example, the word R or S or N can mean pretty much the ASCII character, the normal letters, right? But if you add a escape, a backslash character in front of it, in front of N, in front of S, in front of R, then the meaning changes. Okay, now it's an backspace, so why I'm saying backspace, backslash S means space, backslash N means new line, right? Backslash R means what we just discussed, which is carriage return. So that's what C style escapes are pretty much. So this is important to understand though. PostgreSQL also accepts escape string constant, which are an extension to the SQL standard. An escape string constant is specified by writing the letter E. Okay, writing the letter E, upper or lowercase, just before the opening single quote. Okay, like this. When continuing an escape string constant across lines, write E only before the first opening. That's not important. Within an escape string, a backslash character begins a C-like backslash escape sequence. It starts a sequence, and then C, a parser can understand, oh, you are giving me an escape style. You are giving me an escape sequence, which is back slash then N, and that is a sequence, which means there's a new line. All right, and with the combination of backslash and following character represent a special byte value shown in table 4.1. So if you use backslash B, backslash F, backslash N, which we're just discussing about, backslash R, we're discussing about this, backslash T, etc., then it pretty much Postgres will understand it as C style escapes, and it will understand it as written on the side, on the right side. So this backslash T means tab, backslash R means carriage return, backslash N means new line. That is important to notice, because we are working on removing new line and carriage return. Okay. This is also important to notice that any other character following a backslash is taken literally. So if you want to add a backslash character in your regular, let's say, expression, then you would have to write 2 backslashes. Okay, Sounds good. And here is an important point. A single quote can be included in an escape string, okay, by writing backslash and single quote, okay, in addition to the normal way of the quoting. Again, let's take a look into this again. Also, a string quote, single quote can be included in an escape string by writing backslash single quote, okay. So what it means is, if we do, first of all, it's saying by writing E in the front, either capital or uppercase or lowercase, by adding E in the front, Postgres understand that you're gonna be providing a escape sequence. Now you can add N, okay, or you can add this backslash, and then you have double quotes, okay. C will understand that you're talking about single quote, okay. So coming back to this, where you remember I was asking how can I insert a single quote. By the way, there's another trend coming. This whenever I'm like chilling out or like doing live, it's always another, like trains are always passing. It's like, what the hell do? Anyway, let's get back here. So answering what I asked before, and if you already know that, it's awesome. If you don't, then here is the answer. If you want to add in while you are inserting, if you want to add a apostrophe s, single quote apostrophe s, then you'd have to escape it, okay. So you'd have to escape this, but it's not going to work right now because Postgres doesn't know that it is an escape sequence. To do that, we would have to add an E at the front, okay. So did you see what I did? So I want to add apostrophe s. I don't know how to add that, so I'm gonna add a C style escape here. So, and I have to add a escape character here, but Postgres doesn't know that this whole sequence is escape C style escape sequence. So to specify that, I have to specify E uppercase or lowercase at the start, and then I can add a string which has apostrophe s. So if I go here, let me see, select all from demo. There we go. As you can see, now I have a have apostrophe s in here. Okay, that's kind of bonus section. Anyway, but this is good. This kind of base which we are talking about is going to help us solve the problem. Okay. Now we have to do. How do we approach this problem? Well, what data we already have so far. Let me drink a little bit. All right, so let's think about what data we have so far. We know that our column, the attribute we have is text, right? It's a string, let's say. We know that our column can have apostrophe s. It has escape characters, right? C style escape characters, and we want to replace those characters. So we have to look at what string functions are available in PostgreSQL, right? That would be like the place to go to look for, like, where is there anything available which you can utilize to, replace what you want. So let's do this, let's do a Google search. Okay, so I'm going to switch the screen. There we go. PostgreSQL. Yep, a string function. Okay, and it's like pretty at the top. I mean, of course, I looked into it when I was solving problem for my own work. But let's go here. String function. We are trying to find something to replace, right? Something which can replace. So those are not important, and I might, I've not decided when, but I would probably cover it, cover what you're saying at the top, and maybe we can have a more in-depth discussion on into the operators in the string and all. But right now, for the sake of solving this problem, let's just focus our attention on what we are doing right now. Okay, so I would just search for replace. That's kind of my a way of solving problem. There are so many functions, it's not possible to remember everything, right? So the way to approach it, kind of, Postgres functions and operators are pretty verb, like I would say English language. The linguistic used in the documentation is pretty easy to understand, and it's very derivative from English language. So the name of the functions and everything is very easy and coherent with the use case. So that's why I can search replace, and I will find a function which with the name replace, or in the documentation I can find a word where it says replace, and that's what's happening right here. Okay, all right, so replace substring. It says overlay string placing string. So overlay is a function, string is a string we'll get, placing, there's a placing we have to provide, placing string from int for int. So like, for example, overlay txas placing hom from number 2 to 2, 3, 4. So it is pretty much saying like that, change the second, third and fourth character to hom, right? That's not what we want, right? We want to replace that string, but we no matter where it shows, right? We don't know where is it, what is the location of that string. Okay, so in that case, maybe this is not the most suitable one. Let's keep moving. Regex replace. What is that? This one, replace substrings matching a POSIX regular expression. This is interesting. Okay, C section, this for more information. What the prototype of this function is, it takes a string text, takes a pattern which is also text, it takes a replacement text, and then it takes some flag. So here we have Thomas, which is the string, then you have the pattern right here, there is the replacement string which is m. They have not used flag, but there is a flag variable as well. Okay, so let's there is more information here, section 9.7.3, but before we go there, maybe this might be a good candidate. Okay, there's also this replace, but let's take a look into this. Replace all occurrence in a string of substring from with substring to. So what it is saying is, let's say a string text from text to text. Okay, replace all occurrence in a string of substring from with substring to. So a b c d e f, a c d e f, c d x x. Okay, maybe it can work for our case. Let's try. Yeah, so let's see how we can utilize select all. Actually, I should not do select all. Select paragraph from demo. Okay, it's the original one, nothing fancy. Now I want to use this replace. Okay, so let's try it out. Right, so I want paragraph as the first, that's the prototype, then from text. So the text we want. Okay, so we know that we want new line. So how about we do E you know, the new line is an escape C escape sequence. I don't know who is this guy, but this, yeah, I think this is spam or something. Come on, dude, get a life. Stop goddamn spamming my shit. Get out of here. Alright, okay, better. So let's do this, and I'm gonna put N. You remember why I did E? We just discussed about it a while ago. The same reason why we put an E when we are adding first office S over here. So the replacement text would be actually, one second. So it's saying take this and replace with maybe a space. Yeah, let's see. Okay, that worked. That actually was pretty good, but we still got some issues. It removed the new lines, but we got, like, you know, it's, one second. It looks like it removed the new lines, which is pretty good. If we do R, okay, so the R didn't really remove anything. This actually worked, and it removed new lines with space. That's pretty cool. Okay, there we go. All right, so replace pretty much worked for us, right? Now, what if if you, actually we just solved the problem, right? So if you want just simple replace, and you want to provide kind of one single escapes character, you can use replace function, which is provided by a string. Now what if I try to do like regular expression here? Will that work? I don't know, let's see. Okay. I'm gonna close this off. Not really. It didn't really work. Maybe I need to add this. No, I don't need to add, because R and N, they don't need the extra backslash. So I tried to remove N and R both using a regular expression. That didn't really work, okay, for replace. And of course it didn't work. Why? Because, one second, replace. I'm trying to see like if it can give me the signature. Okay, replace could not take such argument. Okay, that's all right. The reason why it didn't work is because here the from text cannot be a regular expression. It has to be a string pretty much. Okay, so although this is a string, and that's why it worked, this isn't, and that's why it didn't work. All right, so what's the next alternative? We have this guy. Actually we have, okay, there we go, regex replace. This one takes string text similar to this one. It takes a pattern text, as you can see, like this one can take a regular, this one can take a POSIX regular expression where we can have multiple, new lines and carriage return and the one apostrophe s and all the unnecessary characters we don't want to show up in the final outcome, you can just put it in one regular expression. Okay. So for this, we have to do a text, which is paragraph. We have to do a pattern. Then we have to do a replacement text. I want like no space over here. And there is a optional flags, which is also text. Okay. And we're gonna talk about it pretty soon. I'm checking at the live stream chat. I mean, why do people create these bots which just creates like bad experience for everyone? I don't know. Anyway, let's keep moving. So let's try regular expression replace. Let's call it regular expression replace, not regex replace. All right. So let's try it out. Okay. So select a regular expression replace. Then we're gonna have the first is going to be paragraph. Remember, second is the pattern. Now I want to add this pattern. Okay. Then we're gonna have replacement text, which is this, and maybe I want to skip the first one. Okay, let's see. Column paragraph doesn't. Oh, I have to add a demo table. Come on, man. Really? There we go. All right. Something was not right here. You see this? I did select regular expression replace paragraph. I added the regular expression here, but still it's, I mean, it removed the, it removed this carriage return from the second one. It removed from the second one, but it didn't really remove from the first one. Isn't that interesting? So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to check my regular expression. So I use this tool called Rubular, where you can put whatever you have, your text and all, and you can write a regular expression for that, and it will directly match and validate it for you. Okay. So let's start. And it gives you a hint as well right here, so it becomes pretty easy. So I'm going to do like large brackets. I want new lines, and I want to capture carriage returns. Okay, maybe I also want space. Maybe not. Okay, so all these which you're seeing right here, I want to replace. Sure. All right. So I did add here. So why it didn't work? Right. Let's try, before I try to help understand the why behind it, let's try something out. There's this flag called G. Okay. And what this flag does, it pretty much replaces the occurrence of this regular expression in the whole string. There we go. See that? Now we have been able to remove it. So why did this work? This flag worked, and other, like, no flag didn't work. No flag with this, right? There's a pretty simple reason to explain it, but before I go there, let us take a look at demo as well. So take a look at this. Demo had 2 carriage returns, right? This one had 1 carriage return, the first one, right? This one has, like, it looks like no flag removed one of this, but it didn't remove all of this. Okay, here we had 1, so it removed 1. Here we had 1, it removed 1. But when it was 2 or more, it was not able to remove, right? So what do you think this G flag is really doing? Any guess? If you said like G means global, then you're right. G flag pretty much means it removes the occurrence of this, whatever you are putting in this regular expression, whatever matches with the regular expression throughout all your text. So maybe I want to add apostrophe s as well. Okay, I mean, we have this here and I want to remove it. Let's say I'm gonna do this and boom, it removed it, right? So this is like a really powerful thing, and actually we just solve our problem. So select regular expression, then we're gonna have the first is paragraph, then we have the regular expression itself, and remember I just told you about it, that when you, one second, let me pull this up. Yeah, when you're talking about regular expression, and especially which have escape characters, you're dealing with C style escapes. And when for Postgres to be able to understand that you're talking about C style escapes and not like /n, you have to add E upper or lowercase at the start to be able to tell Postgres that, hey, I'm actually going to add, or I might add a C style escape sequence in here. Okay, so you're telling Postgres how to parse it, how to tokenize it. All right, so there we go. We just solved our problem. This is the way to replace all occurrences of new line and carriage return. I'm always forgetting the whole word. Carriage return, god damn it. So this is how you can remove it. Okay, simple. Now we are not done yet. Now we're gonna be taking a look into this flag. Okay, to take a look into this flag, I'm gonna take you over to another, and maybe I'm gonna maybe I'm gonna add all these links which we went to in the description, so you can also play around with that. So let's search for G. Okay, there we go. Now this is very important. Let's read it together. The regex replace function provides substitution of new text for substrings that match POSIX regular expression pattern. It has the syntax regular expression replace, source, which was paragraph, pattern, which is this pattern. Remember, don't forget to add either uppercase or lowercase e for it to work. What happens if we don't add it? Well, first of all, you won't be able to run it, right? Because you have a post office S. Let's say we remove it and run it. Will this work? Will this not work? Let's see. It will work because you don't have such a character which needs escape. But let's say you also want to add apostrophe s, but in that case it's not going to work. So it's best, if you're dealing with regular expression, it's a good convention to add e or uppercase or lowercase e at the front if you want to do that. But let me try this. Yep, and there we go. All right, so coming back here, and so replacement is, we chose like nothing, like pretty much empty, and then flag is option. What this means, there's a square bracket in Postgres. It means in Postgres documentation, it pretty much means it's an optional parameter. The source string is returned unchanged if there is no match to the pattern. If there is a match, the source string is returned with the replacement string substituted. The replacement string can contain new line where n is 1 through. It's not really new line. It could be string can contain backslash then 1 through 9 to indicate that the source substring matching the nth parenthesized subscription of the pattern should be inserted, and it can also contain this to indicate that the substring matching the entire pattern should be inserted. Write this backslash. If you need to put a literal backslash, the flags parameter, now this is very important, the flags parameter is an optional text string containing 0 or more single letter flags that can change the behavior of your function. Flag I specifies case insensitive matching, while flag G specifies replacement of each matching substring rather than only the first one. Now you understand what was happening. If you want, you can go back. But if you remember, if you remove the flag, what was happening? Actually, now we are having an issue here. Okay. It removed the first one, but it didn't remove the other ones. You see that? If we add this global flag, it will remove the occurrence of all in the regular expression. All right. So this is pretty, important to understand. One thing I want to emphasize on is this, to indicate that the source substring matching the nth parenthesized expression of the pattern should be string. Okay, so the nth sub expression. Okay, I was trying to understand what it was saying, but now it makes sense. You can specify like what exact in an ordered in 1 to 9 order, you can emphasize how the replacement in the source substring will happen and which corresponding sub expression should be replaced for that. But this is not important for the scope of our problem. We already solved the problem. All right. Now one last thing I want to do is I want to show you how it actually works behind the scene. Okay, so for that I'm gonna pretty much go to Doxygen and then try to search for regex. Okay, so let's start here. Regex count and regex and all these things. By the way, this is a mirror of recent source code of Postgres. This is written in C. Don't get intimidated. It's actually, you don't have to understand everything. If you understand logic, you'd be able to understand what I'm gonna discuss. But this is good to know because Postgres is actually written in C, so you will understand how or why is this happening. Okay, so let's get into the detail a little bit. This regex, this is the file regex.c, which controls how this function regexp replace works. Okay, so when you provide regexp replace with all these 4 parameters, after all the process of compilation, after the process of tokenization, parsing, compilation, all those processes, Postgres then runs this, goes to this files to run this function for you. Okay, let's come here and let's try to find where exactly we can find regex replace. Regex replace with 4 argument will be preferentially resolved as this form when the 4th argument is of type unknown. However, the user might have intended to call text regex replace extended no, and which I was reading about the number 1 to 9. If you see flags that would look like an integer, emit the same error that parse reflags would, but add a hint about how to fix it. So it's pretty much saying that if we go here, it is talking about this line. Okay, so it's saying that if you meant to use regex replace with a start parameter, cast the 4th argument to integer explicitly. If this is greater than equal to 0 or less than equal to 9. Okay, that's not important. what is important is here. Okay, parse re flags. What is this parse re flags? Let's take a look into this. So parse re flag is here. Regex flavor is always folded into comma blah blah blah. So what it does is there's a for loop, and it's pretty much parsing what you have provided here, and it's pretty much looking at the flag you have. So if you have a flag G, then it sets the flag struct G glob variable to true. Okay, if you want to take a look into like what is glob, you can also take a look here. Okay, glob is defined right here. So pgre flags is the struct, and glob is pretty much a boolean which can be true or false. Do it, and whenever you set the fourth argument as G, this struct pgre flags instance bool is converted to true. Okay, so that's good to know. That means this is pgre flag struct is the one responsible for understanding or having the logic for knowing that it has to actually replace the occurrence of your regular expression throughout the whole string, and we can take a look into it. Okay, so pgre flag, let's see where it is used. Parse flag, that's all good. Okay, text regex replace, return a string matched by a regular expression with replacement. This is the function actually which is, I think, going to run the regular expression replace for you. So pgre flags is here. Okay, and then it is pgre flags, it here line number 671, the pgre flags I think it gets set to true, and then replace text regex. This is the one which is responsible for replacing the text itself. This replace text regex. So it takes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7 argument. Now notice the 7 argument, flags.glob. So it is saying pgre flags if the and that is the struct type, and flag is actually the name of the instance. If the flags.glob, which is global, is if it is true, remember it was set to true, right? If it is true, then the 7th parameter for this function would be 0, and otherwise if it is not global, then if it is not G, then it will be set to 1. Sounds good? Okay, so now finally we're going to be taking a look into this function, replace text regex, which is a C function, which is the one responsible for doing the replacement. Let's see, just curiosity wise, let's see what happens inside this function. Just click on it, go here, and Doxygen has done a tremendous job on maintaining this documentation, which is helping us understand Postgres source code, like how exactly it works at C level, which is in my opinion like really awesome to learn about. Anyway, so let's get to the exact definition of the function which is the one responsible for running this. So replace text regular expression, replace substring in SRT text that match pattern with replace text. The replace text can contain backslash marker to substitute the match text. So it's start the character blah 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 blah. Okay, this is important. And if 0, replace all matches. Okay, remember when you did global G, it replaced all matches. That's what it is saying. if it is 0, and remember from the last function we saw, it was set to 0. It was set to true actually. The glob boolean was set to true, and the parameter passed, this int n passed, was with a conditional, where if the conditional value is true, then 0 was passed, otherwise 1 was passed. Okay, and you can see like this is all initialization, and then you have a while loop which pretty much goes through each instance, each match. Okay, and this is all like matching and everything, and it's the logic of replacement. But the most important thing to notice is here, if n is greater than 0, so n would be greater than 0. Remember, n is 0 when we want everything to be replaced, where we are using G flag. If you want just once to be replaced, if you want our matches, if you want the first occurrence of the match to be replaced only, which was happening when we removed this flag, then this will run. If n is greater than 0, the while loop will break. Right here is the logic for that. The while loop will break, and it will not allow the while loop to go further, do the replacement for all matches. It will just stop at the first match, and that's it. If it is 0, in that case it will keep moving, and then it will reset itself to the start of the next match. So it replaced the first one with what you want. Then while loop continued here, okay, till the end of the overall string. While loop continued, and then where did it go? Right here. And then it was reset to the next match, and the while loop continues. So actually what is happening in the background is, when you provide G as global replacement, a while loop runs. Isn't it so interesting? It's all just for, while, if, conditional. That's all. That's how in the background Postgres works. It's so interesting. But yeah, if you provided G, this while loop will continue, and it will replace all the occurrences, all the match occurrences. If you didn't provide any global flag, the value of n will be set to greater than, it will be 1, and then it will just do the replacement once, right? It will not replace all occurrences. And that is the reason why you saw this when you try to, oops, maybe it's confusing a little. When you try to do this, it did replace, but the while loop here, in the source code, it ran only one time and then broke. So and then the while loop broke, and so after that it didn't replace any other occurrence. But when you did G, then the while loop continued. It reset itself after it replaced the occurrence, first occurrence, then it reset, replaced the second occurrence, it reset, third occurrence, and so on till the end of the string. And that's why regular regexp replace with a G flag is very important if you want to sanitize all your input, or I should say all the text contained in a column relevant to a matching regular expression. All right. So yeah, I hope, and by the way, this yeah, it shows, this is so weird on my chat. These goddamn assholes are trying to spam my chat. Anyway, I hope it helps. I know it was a bit longer than expected. I'm still, I'm kind of tired today, but I'm glad I was able to cover this topic. I hope this is helpful for somebody who is facing the same issue, and you, at the end of the video, you are able to understand why the use of global flag works and why this function needs the regular expression and so on. I hope you understood a little bit about the depth of Postgres, the source code, by looking at the source code of Postgres. Anyway, enough talk. The best way to learn is try the same thing. Maybe bookmark this video if you want, and or note it down in your engineering notebook. By the way, if you want an engineering notebook, and yes, I'm selling like what this product which I thought about and I put it on Amazon. This is a pretty cool engineering notebook which, where I can write a lot of things, and I can, as an engineer, as a software engineer, I can get back to it again and again, like review my notes, and it's going to help me become a better engineer. Anyway, enough self-promotion. Really appreciate